Hello and welcome to my week 11 final video submission. In this video, I will be talking and walking you through the steps that you're going to take to set up for an exam of the shoulder and the wrist. I'm going to explain everything you need to do from setting up in zone 3, from getting your patient, and how to set up your scans. So let's just get ahead and get started with this video. So before beginning any of these exams, of course, you're going to be in zone 3 and you want to go over the doctor's order and you want to make sure that it's accurate, it's signed and dated by the doctor, and you have verified that the right exam was ordered. You would do this by checking the ICD code. Next, you want to demetallize yourself completely. So lock away anything that is potentially ferromagnetic, your phone, wallet, keys, purse, belt, jewelry, anything on your person is locked away. You will then proceed into the scan room or zone 4, and you then want to begin by sanitizing the table, the coil that you will be using, and provide fresh linens for your patient as well. So beginning with the shoulder, the coil that you will be using for this scan is a dedicated shoulder coil. You're going to position your patient supine and head first into the scanner, and you are going to set your landmark at the glenoid fossa, so that would be the shoulder joint. During your scan of the shoulder, it's important that the hands are supinated, because if they are pronated at any time during the exam, it can mimic a rotator cuff tear. So starting with the axial scan of the shoulder, you're going to set this up on the coronal plane. You are then going to angle perpendicular to the glenohumeral joint on the coronal plane, and then you want to angle perpendicular to the humerus on the sagittal plane. Next, you want to cover superiorly to the acromioclavicular joint all the way to the maxilla. To set up your coronal scan of the shoulder, you want to do this on the axial plane, and you're going to angle parallel with the supraspinatus tendon or to the supraspinatus muscle. You want to cover the shoulder joint from the anterior coracoid process all the way to the posterior humeral head. Lastly, for your sagittal scan of the shoulder, you're going to plan this on the axial plane, and you want to angle perpendicular with the supraspinatus tendon. You will then cover from the deltoid muscle to the medial glenoid muscle as well. So let's go ahead and start with the wrist, the skin of the wrist. Again, you're going to check your doctor's order, make sure everything's accurate, ICD code is verified, the order is signed off, and after your patient is screened, you can go ahead and get them started with the exam. You have your right coil set up in zone 4, everything's been sanitized, you have new bedding provided for your patient. So we're going to begin with the wrist exam. For the wrist, the coil you will be using is a HD wrist coil, and you want to position your patient prone in a Superman position. The landmark you will be using are the carpals, also known as the ulnar styloid process. For your axial scan of the wrist, you want to set this up on the coronal plane, and you want to angle parallel with the joint space. You will then cover the metacarpals completely from the radius to the ulna. For the coronal scan of the wrist, you're going to set this up on the axial plane. You want to angle parallel to the radius and the ulna, and you want to cover completely from the dorsal to the palmar aspect. Lastly, for your sagittal scan of the wrist, again, you want to set this up on the axial plane. You're going to angle perpendicular to the distal radius and the ulna, and you want to cover completely from side to side. After you've completed your scan, you can safely remove your patient out of the scan room. You want to make sure they're not feeling too dizzy before you get them off from the table, and you want to let them know that their doctor will provide results for them in 2 to 3 business days. So thank you so much for coming along with me on this last and final video of the exam of the wrist and the shoulder.